Good evening, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of your best year. So thank you for still being here, whether you're watching this on catch up or whether you're here with me live this evening. Absolutely hats off to you on what is a manic first week always in January, with sort of life kicks back in and children go back to school and people go back to work, and it seems like every other person in the country is ill or got some sort of problem with them. It really is, you know, manic at the moment. So really well done, and thank you very much for being here. Now, just as we were coming on then, Kathy was saying that she hasn't written her goals down yet because she doesn't really believe that she can achieve them. Now, we all know that that is absolutely not true. And what we are going to cover...
Warm welcome to day 2 of your...
Can you mute yourself?
Lovely to see so many comments.
There we are. Dave's got me on stereo, I think. There we are. I've muted Dave. I think it was Dave listening on 3 devices or something. Absolutely, you can achieve those goals. And today is about working out how you're going to achieve them, as well as what the goals are. So that's going to help, hopefully, in some way. But my first thought straight away with that is, are you letting yourself off the hook straight away? You know, I talked about if there's a holiday incentive or something like that and you immediately jib out in the first month because then you're not putting pressure on yourself. Well, can I be so rude to say that not writing the goal down because you don't believe you can achieve it is giving you, you know, you're giving yourself a way out very, very early on. So you've got to get that stuff written down. It's not going to happen if you don't start to commit to it. Tonight is a little bit like, so day 1 was all very fluffy and nice and talking to you about what sort of person you'd like to be and all the things that we'd like to achieve and our mission statements and our perfect life. And it was all about visualizing it happen in the future, which was all wonderful. And yesterday was all about, again, reflecting on the wheel of life so far and thinking about, again, what we would like to do in all those areas. I'm afraid today is when it stops being something that's just a vision, something that you're just thinking about, something that you're just hoping might happen. And this is about now committing to actually taking action. At that point, everybody leaves the call. No, I know you won't. But as I said on day 1, you know, my disclaimer, if you remember, right at the start of these 3 nights was, you know, absolutely nothing I say is going to make any difference in your life whatsoever unless you decide to do something about it. And I'm just going to have to remind you all that, because the danger is, and I know, oh no, Barry's fractured a vertebrae in his neck. It's in the BRA. Oh, no.
He said he couldn't move his head, Celia. I didn't really want to say that to anybody, really.
No, okay, all right. We're all, our thoughts and love are very much with Barry, and we will find out how we can help him in any way we can after this. Poor Barry. So yes, so this is very much now about making the decision, but a bit more than making the decision, is actually putting some structures into place so that you can achieve whatever it is that you have written down. What does it mean to be a successful person? I'm just checking my notes here because I had a few great quotes that I want to sort of run by you really this evening. So firstly, dreams are what keep us alive. So it is okay to dream. You know, I'm not saying that every dream you have and everything that you ever think of is, you know, has to be set down in goals and you have to work towards it. It's absolutely fine to have some dreams, but we're talking tonight about proper goals and things that you absolutely want to achieve in your life. So dreams are what keep us alive. Your dreams must be vivid. But what does it mean to be a successful person? So according to William James, and as told by Jim Rohn, if you haven't listened to any of Jim Rohn's stuff, I expect most of you on here have, you know, what a wonderful man and what a lovely way of describing life and all the principles of life and everything else. But he talks about success being an inner ideal that is followed persistently with courage. So I really love that. That's about having that inner goal, that desire, that's something that you want to be or want to do, and following it persistently with courage. And what that means is keep following it every day, even on those difficult days. You know, even on those days when it's difficult, if you really want something and you've got a burning desire for something, you will keep going through the difficult days. So defining what a goal is and having the resolve to complete it all in do it or die. I know that sounds a bit strong, but you know what I mean? It's about what I was saying on day one. You know, are you going to give it your best shot? You know, are you really going to give it your best shot? Because if you do give it your best shot, you are much, much, much more likely to achieve it. And it says here, do whatever's necessary to complete it, but never give up. Because while I'm talking to you mostly tonight about your stretch goal for the end of 2022, would it be absolutely awful if you had achieved 60% of it by the end of 2022? Would that be terrible?
No.
You know, would it be terrible if you'd maybe achieved 20% of it by the end of 2022? No. What would be terrible is if you hadn't even achieved 1% of it because you hadn't believed you could and you did bugger all about trying to achieve it. That would be terrible. So this is about deciding what you want, keeping going for it, never giving up, you know, step by step getting there, book by book, Jim Rohn says, because, you know, if you're not achieving it, is it because you need to learn something different? Do you need to skill up more? Do you need to change your approach and all those sorts of things? But absolutely keep going until you succeed in it. That's why it's so important that the goal is something that you really want to do and happen. Because if it's not, why would you keep going to succeed in it? You might get halfway to it and go, oh, you know, I haven't got there quick enough, so I'm not going to bother at all. So that's one of the success is a combination of two things. Firstly, that inner ideal. And secondly, it's the outer achievement related to that ideal. So what happens to you externally? What do people see when you have achieved that goal? So that, I just thought that was really brilliant. So how tonight's going to work, as I'm going to try desperately to sort of keep on track, but I'm going to go through some slides as normal. Some of them are going to be stuff that you can be writing in your workbook straight away. There's a bit of your workbook I'm going to ask you to save and wait until later, because otherwise you're going to start writing the wrong things in there. I'm going to go through the slides, and then after I finish the slides, I'm going to give you 3 examples of sort of breaking down goals in specific areas. So I'm going to do one example of getting to group leader in utility warehouse. Okay, just as an example. I'm going to do one about if you've got a product-based business or a craft business or something like that, about how to increase sales over a year. And I'm going to do one as if it was a service business, as if you were a coach or an accountant or a bookkeeper or something like that. All right, so I'm just going to sort of work through 3 examples, because I think all of those things is going to help all of you, because there'll be ideas in all of it. And then hopefully, Lorraine, have you seen Kate's in the waiting? Yeah, thank you. I know you have, and I shouldn't, I never need to ask because you're brilliant, but I always feel I should just mention it. And yeah, hopefully as we go through, there's going to be loads of stuff there that you, ideas for how this works. I'm going to say to you now, actually, while I'm talking about that, so the bits in the workbook where it says about your quarterly goals and breaking it down, the reason I don't want you to do that straight away is because the obvious thing to do when you're thinking about quarterly goals is say, if this is what I want, where I want to be at the end of the year, I'll just halve it for 6 months and I'll quarter it for 3 months, and that's where I should be then. But it doesn't work like that. Because if you're from a standing start and you've got no momentum and no audience built and no stuff going on, it's very likely that your first quarter is going to be a lot about creating your business and building momentum, and then the numbers will come later. Does that make sense to you all? And I'll talk more about that when we talk about actual group numbers and things for group leader. It will make more sense then, because I see so many people get disillusioned really quickly when they do that. They say, I need 100 group customers. I've got 10 months to go. So that's 10 a month. I'm not doing any at the moment. It's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that. And that's actually, you're shooting yourself in the foot before you start. Right. Any questions before I dive in any further? Is that sort of making no sense at all, but it will in a minute? Brilliant. Excellent. Right. That's good. So I will share the screen as usual and hope that it's going to behave itself. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Hang on. That's nearly edited. Any second. Here we go. Oh, sorry. It's not letting me move. There we go. Right, hang on. There. We're good. We're good. We're on the first page eventually. So I can see Dave and Marie and Julie this evening. Marie, you're allowed to look worried. I know you are.
Yeah.
We all are. So a goal without a plan is just a wish. Okay, so tonight is very much about turning this wish into a goal by creating a plan. All right, so that's what very much tonight is all going to be about. So firstly, before we jump in any further than that, have you got your 3 business goals written down? You can see on page 1 of tonight's workbook, it asks you again to write those 3 business goals down. So I've got a few sort of different business things going on at the moment, but I've chosen, obviously, well, not obviously, but I have chosen for the business goals I'm going to be sort of speaking about tonight and relating to myself. I'm going to be using my utility warehouse business, which is my priority business and always will be. So my tiny goal that I set, and again, this is just to sort of give you some ideas of what that could look like, is literally to speak to a team member every day. All right, because I know that's something that I can do. I'm in control of that. That no one else, can stop that from happening. Obviously, things might get in the way occasionally, but it's something that is very achievable for me to speak to one team member every day. And obviously, if you've only got 3 people in your team, you probably don't want to speak to a team member every day because they might get a little bit bored of you. But it's just something tiny and small that you can do. Now, my sort of stretch goal, if you like, for 2022, again, I don't mind sharing. I'm not going to name names because some of them are on here, but it's to help 3 people in my team get to group leader and 4 people in my team get to senior team leader. Now, on the way to that, there's lots of other team leaders and all sorts of other bits and pieces going on, but that's just sort of the main thing. And then my massive goal is still my initial goal, which I shared with you on day 1, is £10,000 a month in passive income. I used to say my goal was to get to national network leader. I'm not sure actually that is my goal, but my goal definitely is the £10,000 a month, which I shared with you the other day. So that's just what I've got down. So whatever you've got down, just keep that in mind as we go through these slides and this. Just got to move something again. Right, so why is it so important to make a plan to achieve your business goals? Quite simply, and not just your business goals, actually, you are the CEO of your own life and you are your own boss. And being your own boss and really embracing that opens more doors than you can ever believe is possible. And I really know that from my own experiences, that if you really do start to think about life in that it's all about being your own business, about you being in control. You are responsible for the income coming into your life, for the health in your life within reasons, and all that sort of thing. It means that you start to notice opportunities a lot more as well. And there is opportunity everywhere for us all, but sometimes you're not open to it. So you've got to be open to it. And of course, CEOs of a business have a business plan, a strategy, quarterly targets. So my question to you is, have you got that in your business? You probably got a bit more of it just from this week. Have you had that in the past? Have you, in January before, sat down and planned out your whole year in your business in detail as a strategy as to where those customers are going to come from, where you're going to get more clients, how's it going to work? Because that's what a CEO would do. And all of you have your own business that is potentially extremely valuable to you. So this next bit now, if the slides are going to play ball, which they're not at the moment. There we go. Right, so on that page in your workbook where it says, taking your 2022 goal, write down everything to do with why you want to achieve it, what it will mean to you and others, and how you'll feel when it's done. So as I just talk through this, I just want you to brain dump basically onto that page. If you haven't got the workbook, it really doesn't matter. It's just about writing down anything that comes into mind as I talk through this slide, particularly thinking about your that stretch goal, business goal for 2022. So firstly, why is it important to you? What is it about achieving that particular goal that is going to make a difference to you? Will it make a difference to your life? And if so, in what way? Is it going to financially help your life? Is it just going to make you have a bit more spring in your step? How are you going to feel when you accomplish it? What will it enable you to have that you maybe haven't got now? Or another thing is, who are you going to share it with? Who's going to be proud of you? Who are you really looking forward to celebrating achieving that goal?
With Barry.
I know, I knew you were going to say.
He's just messaged me. I'm tearful here.
What did he say?
Just that he liked me snow picture because we'd been torn earlier on, and that he'd had a scan and that he has fractured the bone in his neck. I thought he had, because he said he couldn't move his head this morning.
Well, at least he's in the right place now, isn't he? And hopefully they will look after him well.
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't worry, Marie. No, it's fine. So yes, who are you going to celebrate that with, and who's, who will be proud of you, who's going to help? And then the other one, this is a big one as well, is what needs to happen. So we talk more about this when we get onto strategy. So, what things have to happen, what needs to be put in place for the goal to be achieved. And in particular, if you are thinking about, promotions in a network marketing business, or in utility warehouse in particular, obviously, in order for you to be promoted, in most cases, it's a case of other people getting promoted. So not just who can help you, but are they in on it too? Not just can they help you, but do they want to help you? Don't set goals based on other people unless you know that they are also wanting the same goal. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you really are sort of pushing mud uphill. So once you've written down all the nice stuff, all the lovely stuff about how wonderful you're going to feel, who you're going to celebrate it with, how great, all the differences it's going to make in your life. This is very much the good old Alan P stuff, isn't it? Then you have to ask yourself, so how are you going to feel if you don't achieve it? And I remember when I was, really pushing, I know some of you have heard this story before, but it's so powerful. When I was really pushing to get to senior group leader in 2018, we had a big national event. I wanted to be there for the event. It wasn't really so much for the recognition. It's just because I'd set that as a goal and I really wanted to have done it by that date. And I was so close. I had to work really hard in the last couple of weeks. And the thing that really, really drove me in the last few days was the thought of not achieving it. It was a thought of me sitting in the audience that day and watching other people. Could you let Sarah in, Lorraine? Other people walk across the stage at that level and me not have done it. And it was that thought of regret and how I would feel that pushed me over the line in the end. So once you've thought about all the reasons you want to accomplish the goal, how it will make you feel, who's going to be proud of you, just ask yourself the question, how will you feel if you don't achieve it? Because sometimes that will be the thing that drives you more than all the good. It's that feeling of letting yourself down. We've talked about that. And don't try not to think about other people in that. So it's not about you letting other people down, because this is about you, and I want you to really take control of your own emotions and feelings. But it is okay to take yourself, to feel responsible for yourself. It's absolutely okay, because if you don't care about how you'd feel, you're not going to go all in, are you? You're not going to go all in and really go for it. And that's what we're talking about here, is really trying your best to achieve a goal and not letting yourself off the hook the minute something happens or goes wrong. Okay, so as I said, once you know what your goal is, it makes sense to break it down. And we are going to break it down into quarters. And that's very much why I want to have these catch-up sessions we've got, on the quarter through this year as well, because it would be really, really great for you to have really analysed what you've done in quarter one. But it doesn't necessarily mean just dividing the goal up. So this is where strategy is so important. It's not just about saying, I want to be there, so I'm just going to divide it down and this is where I'll be in 3 months' time. We always massively overestimate what we can achieve in a week, but underestimate what we can achieve in a year. And that's fact. And that's why so many people, literally like probably most people, work consistently at something for, let's say 12 weeks. And then when they're not where they wanted to be, they give up. And I've said this before, didn't I, about the 3 feet from gold thing. If only they had kept going for 52 weeks, the change, the results, everything would be mind-blowing. Very few people have the resilience, the consistency, the drive, the resilience is the word I keep coming back to keep going when things aren't necessarily panning out how you wanted to at the time. That's why most businesses fail. You know, most people, when they start out in business, it takes 3 years to break even, you know, and most businesses fail. It's because people are not prepared to keep going until they're successful. So they don't see the fact that, you know, you've started it, it's going to be difficult. Every business is difficult. You know, life is difficult, but you've got to keep going. You've got to bloody keep going, you know, through thick or thin, whatever's happening, you've just got to keep going. And if you're prepared to do that, you will be amazed where you can get. Right, so we're talking now a bit more business strategy. So there'll be some things in here you're very familiar with. There'll be some things in here that you're not so familiar with. It depends a little bit what type of business you are working. And sorry, I've got an interruption in my office. What, you're after paper? Okay, go. They've been very good, haven't they? Because they have left me alone. Out, shut the door. And I've just had an interruption. Can you shut the door, please? Yeah. Thank you. He wants paper and pen. I can't imagine what he's going to do with that. Sorry. 10-year-old son, that's very productive. Perhaps he's goal setting. I don't know. Anyway, so business strategy, there'll be things in here, and this is all to just get you thinking about how are you going to achieve those things that you've written down? How are you going to get the people that you want to? So on your pages now in the book, so we're ignoring the quarterly bits. So if you go to the page where it says your business strategy, if you've got the workbook, if you haven't, it's fine, just write down. On that first page, we're talking about now, we're sort of how you're going to achieve it, what needs to happen. So this is just some ideas now. This is, I call it building your audience now. Some people will be familiar with this being called building your list. You know, that's what we talk about it really in Utility Warehouse, but this is a bit more than just building a list, because this is now about trying to create an audience, a pool of people that you build a relationship with that are going to help you get to wherever it is that you want to be. All right, so make sure everybody you know knows what you do and who you can help. All right, that is really, really important. And it doesn't matter what type of business you've got. It is important that you let everybody you know what you do. All right, because and with excitement as well, with that massive vision, that massive mission, you need to be so excited about what you're working towards that people want to listen to you, but without being a mad woman or man. There is a balance, but you know, you've really got to say, this is what I'm working towards next year. I'm super excited. Can I just share it with you? And most people, if you're as simple as that, they will listen. So networking on and offline, have you got networking in your strategy? Is it a strategy for you to network, or are you just hoping you're going to bump into enough people while walking your dog to get you to where you want to be? Because it's unlikely that you are.
I think I'm getting better at it, Celia, because I was asked if I was married today.
Is that on
and
your
then he
card?
said it was a shame when I said yes. I offered him the business. The UW business.
You can't say that. Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, so Marie's getting very good at networking. With the dog, I'm not saying anymore. I'm going to change.
No, I don't say anymore. I said that the wrong way around.
Yeah, networking. So is that in your strategy? Is that something that you want to do more of, on and offline? It's a whole subject on its own. We did quite a big session on that in Step Up to Success. But it is absolutely, you know, key. I would say it's absolutely key if you're wanting to develop a proper business, that you are prepared to invest into some sort of networking. It doesn't have to be formal, but it's going to make a difference to you to build in that audience. Social media. I'm going to just touch on this again. You know, I could, like I say, do an hour on all of these things, as you know I could, but we haven't got time for this. But this is just to see, is this part of your strategy, your proper strategy? This is not just I'm going to post occasionally about my business and the rest of the time I'm going to talk about chocolate cake. This is about you actually saying, over the next year, I am going to start to link what I do with my business more into my social media. I'm going to make it a strategy. It may be that you've just got your personal profile, but it might be that you are going to think now of setting up your own Facebook group, your own community. That works really well. Laura, I know, is on here, who's very new in the business and has set up a really good Facebook group already. I don't know how many members you've got in there now, Laura, but when I looked the other day, you had 50 just within a couple of days. And And that's sort of about saving money and sort of a community of saving money, which is one thing, which is really great. But a Facebook group with you as the admin gives you a certain amount of authority and a reason to connect with everybody in that group. So it doesn't matter. The group does not have to be exactly related to whatever it is that you want to sell to people. It's just got to be your ideal people in the group. I know Vanessa was talking about setting up a sort of interior homes inside and out, lovely Facebook group about interior design and landscaping and gardening and all that sort of stuff, which is a particular interest of hers. I hope you don't mind me sharing that, Vanessa. But of course, all those people in that group, if you're also wanting to develop your utility warehouse business, for example, they're all people with homes and anyone with a home, we can help on that side of things. So it's really thinking outside the box to link the two things. So, for example, my Passion to Pocket Facebook group is very much about all, small business owners. But I now, as the authority in the group, because I'm the admin in the group, if I connect with people on a personal level and message them, it's very easy to get a one-to-one so that we can show each other what we do and things like that. So it is a strategy. It's about the bigger you can get that, the more you can have people in a space like that you're an authority, that the easier you are going to find when you want to sell to them, to be, completely blunt about it, because that is basically what it's all about. An email list. Many people don't think about an email list. It's a really good way of creating a list and having a list of potential customers or clients. It doesn't mean that you have to sell to them all the time. A sales funnel is something that you can create to develop an email list. It's really simple. I use a system called MailerLite. You can just set up something very, very simple, like a free bit of advice, a newsletter or something like that for people. And basically it's in return for their email address. So you could think about, and this is something I can help people with more individually, but you could think about, for example, for Vanessa, just use that as an example, 5 top tips for making your lounge look gorgeous on a budget of under 50 quid or something, let's say, and people that say, well, that sounds interesting, I'd like that. You then get their email address, they're then going to be on your email list. So you funnel them into your list. And then through your email list, you can then encourage them into your Facebook group if you haven't already. And you can just start to develop this community of people. The breadcrumbing, what that means is so that's an example. So that means maybe Vanessa goes into a group, maybe Mums in Business, for example, and says, look, I've got this freebie all about how to make your lounge look gorgeous in under 50 quid. Would you like that? And you're sort of breadcrumbing them from there over into your group and into your community. And of course, you've got to make sure that it's very specific to your ideal client and who you want to work with. It's sort of a higher level, it's not high level strategy stuff, but it's just things that most people don't think about. They're so busy with their head in their business to just trying to get the next customer. They're not thinking about the fact that if you had 1,000 people on an email list, how easy do you think it would be to get 1 extra customer a month or 2 extra customers a month or whatever you wanted from a pool of people like that? It's actually very, very easy. Events, of course. So if events are part of your strategy for next year, they need to be booked in. You need to look at the year ahead. So if you said, right, most of my customers last year came from me being at events, how many customers do you want? Do you know your ratios? Do you know how many customers you got from your events? Do you know how many events you went to? So therefore, so if you did 5 events and you got 10 customers from 5 events and you want 20 customers, you need to do 10 events. It's really as simple as that, but it's knowing your figures. And this year might be the year you actually just build those ratios. So if you don't know your numbers this year, part of your plan for this year might be, by the end of 2022, I absolutely want to know my ratios. I want to know exactly what I need to do in order to make this stuff happen. I hope this is all making sense. I know some of you have heard some of it before, some of you haven't. Let me just check here that I haven't, there's so many other things really. I mean, this is just sort of the very basic things that you can be doing. I mean, social media itself is a huge thing, and it doesn't just need to be Facebook. Obviously, you've got the LinkedIn, you've got Instagram, there's all sorts of things you can do there as well as part of your strategy. So the sort of next page of this business strategy bit is about really starting to write down everything that you would like to implement next year in order to hit your goal. Some of it you'll know you need to, some of it will be new and it will be starting from scratch. And therefore, again, you need to almost set goals in that area of your business. So if part of your strategy for oh, I've put 2021, look, 2022. If part of your strategy for 2022 is to create an audience of 1,000 people in a Facebook group by the end of the year, then you do need to break that down to how many people am I going to get in it each day, each week, each month. So that's where that has to happen. So really plan out your year. Write down all of the things that you're going to need to be doing all of the time. And that's why I said maybe in the first quarter, there'll be a bit more preparation, a bit more planning, a bit more setting up, a bit more getting things into order. You might say, right, definitely part of the first quarter, I need to find and book these 10 events I want to attend. You know, that's got to be in the diary. So you write down everything that you need to do to get to where you want to be. And then you look at your diary, your calendar, and you plan it out. You make a proper plan. This is what I'm going to do in January. I'm going to make sure all my events are booked in the diary. I'm going to set up my Facebook group, or I'm going to decide which 2 networking groups I'm going to attend regularly, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then you time block it and you work out your daily routine. So your daily routine is obviously going to be those things that you do need to do on a daily basis in order to get all these things ticked off. Some things you won't need to do every day, obviously, and that's why time blocking your diary for probably 30 days, a week, definitely, you know, so a week definitely, so you know what's in your head for the next week, but always look through the week to the next month to make sure that you've got everything stacked up in line for what you want to achieve eventually in the first quarter. Right, let me come out of this now. So before I just go through these examples, which might help a bit more, or certainly get you all thinking a bit more, if I can find them. Yes, we are. Has anyone got any questions or comments about any of that so far? Yes, Deb. Deb's waving her hand at me. Go for it, Deb. Oh, she's gone.
Oh, there we are.
Oh,
so I didn't read the wrong thing. This email list.
Yes.
How do you make sure that this isn't scamming? And when you say an email list, you mean this is emails from people that joined your other groups, or?
No. So what I said was they know 100% that when they click on here to receive your free 5-point guide at whatever, they are giving you their email list. And if you do it through a proper thing like MailerLite, it's got all the GDPR policy in there as well. They can unsubscribe really easily. Every single email you send through MailerLite has got a bit, any that you've had from me for this campaign, for example, at the bottom in big letters says unsubscribe here. You know, so actually, yes, it is all GDPR. Yeah, MailChimp's one, MailerLite's one. They're very similar systems. They're free systems that you can use. Yeah, so you're not spamming people because they have given you their email address in return for this item. You normally do an email sequence then to sort of let them know a bit about who you are and all that sort of thing. If they want to unsubscribe at that point, then they can, and they will. And if they do, it's fine. You know, if people unsubscribe, they're not your ideal person, you know, they weren't going to buy, they're not really interested, it doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter at all. Another really good reason to have an email list and not just rely on Facebook group, for example, is because Facebook can go down, can't it, from time to time? Facebook can, you know, they do all sorts of weird things every now and then that you can't contact people, you can't message people, you get thrown in Facebook jail for trying to connect with too many people. Whereas if you've got your contacts as well on an email list, at least you can still communicate with them. So that's another really good reason for it. Dave, yes?
Yeah, so obviously events like Winner 20K and things like that, networking. What I found is quite difficult because when I get a chauffeur job in, bang, I'm out of action.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work out how this year I can actually attend those things more regularly.
Okay.
So that's just something I've got to work out, because obviously
easy solution with that. You got your team, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you make sure you have somebody on standby, or you have a pool of people that if you can't attend at the last minute, you've got somebody that can slot in and jump in for you.
Yeah.
And if they're in your team, then that's even better, obviously, because you're still benefiting, aren't you, indirectly? So as long as they go and sign up customers, then that's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
So make that part of your strategy for the year, is to have somebody that lives close enough to you, or I would say 5 or 6 people in your team that live close enough to you that can fill any slots that you have last minute on your Winner Mini stands.
Which are people that I yet need to sponsor.
Absolutely. I know, and that's what's great about it. But that's on your strategy now. So That has to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Find 5 people in my area, in my team that I can use to do that. So that's in your plan now.
Yeah.
You know, that's brilliant. That's a really good example, isn't it, of planning ahead. So what you would have done before is just not book the events. So now you've not only got to book the event, you've got to find some team members to help you run the event as well. So no pressure or anything, but that's what this is. Okay. Anyone got anything else, or should I just talk through these sort of examples I've got, because that might throw up some more ideas anyway for you. And so this isn't anyone in particular. Someone in here might think it's them, but it's not. This was just an example. So I said, let's say you want to get to group leader. So those of you that aren't in utility warehouse, just bear with me on this, because I've got a couple of other examples in a minute that might make more sense to you. Group leader is just a position in our business where you actually need 750 group customers, and you need people in certain places in the business. So let's say that you need 400 group customers. That doesn't look right on my sums there, but I'm just going to work it out again. Yeah, it's right. So let's say you needed 400 group customers in order to get to group leader by the end of 2022. So you needed 400 more. So I've done the normal thing you would do, isn't it? Is divide that by 12 and say, right, that's 33 customers a month. However, you're on 0 at the moment. Your team aren't doing anything. You're lucky if you scrape 1. So actually, to set off in January getting 33 group customers is not only unlikely, but, you know, I'm always saying anything can happen. And yes, anything can happen. But, you know, let's face it, we're on the 6th now. It might not. So instead of getting all despondent and saying, oh, it's not going to happen then, what do you think you might need to concentrate on 100% in Q1 in order to get those numbers by the end of 2022?
Finding people who want to build their business.
Planning. Yeah.
Absolutely, Bentley. Yeah, we need to focus 100% in Q1 on recruiting 20 people. All right, so 20 people over 3 months is absolutely achievable for every single one of you here that's in the business. I know it is. The reason I know it is because I've done it. So if I've done it, it's possible. Sorry, I don't mean to sound big-headed about it. I'm just saying it is possible to recruit 6 or 7 people a month, you know, for 3 months. That is possible. And of course, then it's about the momentum then that would build up off the back of that, isn't it? Because, you know, if it's just you trying to do 33 group, you're a pretty lonely soul. If there's 20 of you trying to do 33 group, that's pretty achievable, isn't it? Especially, you know, with help and support and everything else. So Q1 might be all about that, but you do need to know your ratios again. So you might not know at the moment how many calls you need to make to recruit, to get 1 presentation in the diary. How many presentations do you need to show to sign up 1 partner? You might not know those ratios yet because you haven't been tracking it. So part of your Q1 strategy, as I said a minute ago, might be simply work out my ratios. You know, let's give it my absolute best shot for 3 months to contact as many people as I can and work out my ratios. And then there's lots of other things here as well. So contact existing team and see if they would like help to get started and encourage them on to the next event. You can all do that. Anyone in the business has got any customer, any team at all, that's what you should be doing right now. Talking about power up. Obviously recruit yourself. And, you know, again, your strategy for recruiting those 20 people, what's that going to be? Is it going to be from your list? Do you need to advertise? Do you need to really hit your social media campaigns? What groups can you be in to be looking for people? So this is all still strategy. What people do is they just set off like a headless chicken and go, oh, I've got to recruit 20 people. What am I going to do? Well, I'll just talk to some people today. Whereas if you sat there for a week and actually found the right sort of group to be in, wrote some decent adverts, started some good conversations going, and actually factored that into your plan, you would be much more likely to achieve it than just making a few calls when you've got 10 minutes and then go, oh, that didn't work. End of the week, I haven't recruited anyone yet. Celia said I could do 20 in 3 months. Well, I clearly can't because I haven't done anything yet. You know, because that is what people do. They start and stop and it's all inconsistent and there's no plan. Obviously then team meetings, training, supporting. I'm not going to go into that. That's not what tonight's about, but this is just to give you an idea of what actually planning your year looks like and actually being successful looks like in terms of a plan. So the end of Q1, you may start to be getting 20 group a month, you know, do you know what I mean? On the back of those recruiting efforts. And then you can start to build momentum with challenges, team challenges, and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go into that more. But then, then you can start to say, right, by the end of Q2, I want, one of the people I've just recruited, we're talking future team lead or whatever. All right. So again, happy to help anyone further with that in other ways. I'm just going to talk briefly then about the difference maybe for someone. I know there's some people on here that are product-based businesses. So they might be people that sell their own craft or arts. It could be authors. It could be people with books. It could be people that write or like I say, sell products. Think of beauty products. Some people have beauty products business. I know Laura has a card business as well as UW. So those, those types of people. So let's say, for example, you're currently on £500 a month in your business. I wish some of you will be saying, but I just use that as an example. You're currently making £500 a month, and you'd like by the end of 2022 to be making £2,000 a month. All right, selling whatever products it is that you sell. So again, the important thing to work out is your ratios again. So how many people are in your audience at the moment that you're trying to sell to? Do you have a Facebook group? Do you have an email list? Do you have customers? Or are you just sporadically posting every now and then? Does anyone want to buy this stuff? Because that's what a lot of people do. What does the average customer spend? Because if you can work out, okay, I've got a Facebook group, I've got 100 people in it. I do £500 a month. So therefore, my average person in my audience is spending £5 a month. Does that work? That is right, isn't it? My maths isn't very good sometimes. So therefore, if I want to do £2,000 a month, how many people do I need to get into my audience? So instead of running around like a headless chicken, should I not be working on building the audience and getting the people there that I can sell to? By providing them with other value, by giving them other things other than just buy me, buy me, buy me. And that's where giving value to people, getting other people in. Don't be afraid of your competitors. Collaborate with people, join up with people. If you know other people that've got exactly the same audience as you, work out how you can work with them. You don't need to work against them. You can work with them, particularly with products. Again, it could be events, referrals, networking, your email list. Don't rely just on, the odd thing on Facebook. So your Q1 goal might not be how much am I going to sell? It'll be how many more people can I sell to? How many more events do I need to do? If you go to an event, often you give a freebie away, don't you? Again, in return for an email list or return for them joining your Facebook group or whatever. So how much more of that do I need to do this year so that I've got a big audience of people that I'm talking to? And then break it down. The other example with like a service business, like a coach or a bookkeeper or a cleaner or, whatever type of business you've got where you've got clients and you might want to increase from 10 to 50. There's loads of stuff you can do. Offer a referral incentive to your current customers to refer other people to you. Work out who your ideal client is, grow a group to bring them together, streamline your work as much as possible. Another thing that we're really bad at as small business owners is what can you outsource? What do you hate doing? What takes you ages that it takes someone else 5 minutes that you could pay them a few quid and would take a massive headache away from you? When you're doing your strategy, if there's some of this that really you go, oh, I really can't, I just don't know if I can cope with that, but you think it's important, is there someone you could pay to do that? That would absolutely, in the long run, make your business more successful. Testimonials, offer something extra, and obviously excellent customer service. Customer service and testimonials is really key, whatever type of business that you've got, to be building that and to be growing that and to be making it happen for you. Right, I know that you're all looking very, you're all looking like, rabbit in the headlights at the moment. So I'm just going to look back to my notes, just leave you alone for a minute.
I got righteous cramp.
Right, so then we break all that down. Eventually, it comes back to your daily routine, doesn't it? It comes back to what are you going to do tomorrow to make this stuff start to happen? And the daily routine is when you really have to look at all of the wheel of the life, as we were saying. This is about the exercise. It's about keeping your head in the right place. It's about when you're time blocking your business, making sure you put the other stuff in your diary that's important to you. It's about living with intention. It's about changing the way you are, changing the way you act. It's not about fake it till you make it, but it is about starting to act as if you are already that person that you want to be. Because if you do, things will start to happen. It happens. It really does happen. The minute you start to think it's possible, then it's possible. Where's that Kathy gone? Right, Kathy, the minute you start to think it's possible, it is possible. All right, I promise you it is. If you tell yourself it's not, it's not. You know, belief in yourself is it's hard. It is hard if you don't know that you can achieve it. But, you know, take the little steps. That's the point, isn't it? Start with the little goals. Don't give up on the big one, but start with the little ones that you know you can do, so that by the end of the first week, you can absolutely give yourself a pat on the back and say, I did that every day. And, you know, and now it's starting to work. Because you can do it.
Celia, it's like what's it called, 12-week year, where they say that if you have your focus on the activity rather than the results, if you take it completely away from the results and forget the results, then you know it's activity you can do. So you just do that activity and you've achieved it.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing, and I do agree with you 100%, Bentley. All I worry about with that is I know lots of people that say, oh, I've done, you know, I keep doing the activity, nothing happens. So what you've got to be mindful of is the right activity. Does that make sense? So yes, absolutely. It's like I said, as long as you've got your strategy and your plan and you know what you're doing and you do that because you know it's going to bring that, that's why ratios are so important, and tracking what you're doing. And because absolutely, if you can keep doing consistently the right activities, then yes, the results will definitely come. Sadly, some people consistently do the wrong activities, or they don't skill up. You know, so again, it's all very well putting loads of appointments in your diary if you're doing really crap appointments, pardon my language. You know, if you're not skilled up enough to do that bit right, then no, the activity isn't enough. So it's taking responsibility as well for whatever area it is that you need to improve in, and make sure that you do that and you take the time out, and that needs to go into your plan. So if you know that you need to be more skilled at presenting, put it in your plan. I need to practice presenting. If you know that you're rubbish when people give you objections, and doesn't matter what business you're in, you know, if you're scared of objections, this came up this week with somebody I was talking to. If you're scared of the objection, you're never going to ask the question. You know, you're never going to put yourself in a position to have the objection if you don't know how to tackle the objection. So you need to skill up on the objection, because things like that are stopping you without you even realizing. A lot of people aren't putting the right activity in because they don't actually want the appointments in the diary, because they're terrified of what's going to happen if they do. You know, that's in a presenting type role. I'm sure it's the same with any business. If you're selling things and you're not 100% confident in what you're selling, you know, you don't know the ins and outs. I know when I was, you know, Forever Living products many years ago, the loads of products, and I definitely sold the ones that I really knew about and I was confident about, and the ones that I had used. There was loads there that I didn't, because I didn't know what it was all about. So it doesn't matter what you're in, you do need to know, you know, you need to be prepared to invest in yourself, don't you? In time and education, and, you know, be the best version you can be of yourself, but also the best whatever it is that you're presenting. Spend time on it. People often say, oh, you know, when I do the presentation, I can, you know, talk through it so confidently. Well, I must have done it about 1 million times. I don't know how many times, but, you know, the presentation, I literally could talk through it in my sleep, the utility has one, without the slides in front of me, because I've done it so many times. And that's what happens if you do that, isn't it? So it's making that happen. Brilliant. Right, that was a lot. I know that was a lot in there. Yesterday was a bit of a lighter session. Tonight's been a bit like, whoa. So has anyone got any questions about that? I mean, you could be a little bit specific about your business if you want. I'm sure no one will mind, or anything that's come to mind with that. What I would love you to do, and again, you know, this is all work to take away, isn't it? This is nothing that's going to be done tonight, but it would be lovely if you could all come up with your plan of where you'd like to be at the end of Q1. And if you could share that into the group, all of you, at some point, doesn't have to be tonight or tomorrow, but share that in the group at some point, because that is going to be where we can reflect back on when we meet again on April the 4th. And wouldn't it be amazing if you could have ticked off, you know, quite a lot of that stuff when we have our next catch up on April the 4th. I will confirm, obviously, that date. At the moment, that's looking good in my diary, but at the moment, holidays are being booked and cancelled as quickly as you can sneeze, and I have no idea what's going on really, but
in theory, I should be in Spain, but I'm not holding my breath.
Well, no, I'm supposed to be in France on the 10th. So I don't know. We'll see. Okay, good. Anyone got anything to comment, speak about, ask about? You're all very quiet. I don't know. Adam, come on, Adam.
Hello, yeah.
Come on, Adam. Come on.
I was just wondering if anyone else is. So my goals. It's all about content creation, really. So it's about. I'm really going to focus on Why Do They Always Shout, the book. I kind of like not lost confidence in it or anything like that. It's just that I had a really horrible experience with the publisher, and it kind of made me think, do you know what? I felt I was just a bit down on it, but I'm remotivated. I'm putting a strategy together, got all these things. I'm just wondering, is anybody else selling an actual product? Anyone doing anything creative? Maybe we can talk about it, another time between the two of us or three of us, or if there's anybody. But
yeah, I don't know if there's any other sort of, I mean, obviously you and I need to talk more, definitely, because that's very much like, I mean you're doing some great stuff with the end, with your website that you've done, you created a new Facebook group and all that. That's happening really well, isn't it? Your book is amazing. And well,
I've changed that now because it was too niche, so I was getting bored.
Yeah,
with it, felt like I was forcing content into creation. So what I've done is I've changed it all under one thing, which is called A Dad's Perspective.
Yeah.
And so that talks about sleep. It can talk about the children. It can talk about what dads are going through, mental health. It talks about, his mums are welcome. It's just, that's what it's called. So my focus is going to be on
any ladies want to hang out with a load of dads, you know where to go. Just I think it's very popular, Adam.
It's only women that ever read the book.
Yeah, well, you said that before.
That's why I've tried to change it and called it A Dad's Perspective, because the women are already there. The mums are already active in buying the book, but it was designed to say to dads, hello, you're not alone, and all that, that it's all right to talk about these things. But no, I've got a plan anyway, so I was just checking to see if there's anyone else.
No, I think it's brilliant. I really love everything that you're doing and the creative course, writing courses and the book. I think it's really, really good. I don't know if we have got anyone else but I mean, there may be other people. There's certainly other people within the Passion to Pocket group that it would be worth you putting a post in there. I'm sure you'd find some people in there with similar. There's a couple of other ladies I know that have written books recently, not on the same sort of niche, but it'd still be worth having a chat with.
Yeah, just about like the tag. So I'm going to make. I'm doing research on a marketing video, and this will be helpful for everybody, really. But do a good quality marketing video that is reacting to your customer needs.
Yeah.
So you have to imagine that you're sat in a cafe, and two people walk in, and you're sat there minding your own business, and then they get into a conversation, and the problem that they are discussing is exactly the thing that you can sort.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And then that's what you need to be putting into your marketing strategies and stuff like that, is meeting that need, saying, hello, I can do it. Sorry for interrupting you, but I can help you.
Yeah,
and this is why.
Yeah. Nikki, it's called Why Do They Always Shout? Adam's book, and it's brilliant. Everyone should read it, whether you're a parent or not, because it's really funny and he's brilliant at writing. It's really, really engaging and good. So there we are. Why Do They Always Shout? We'll have to do another plug in the group as well, or another interview. It's brilliant when we did that interview. It's really good. Good. Thank you, Adam. Anyone else? Oh, there we go, Kathy. That's more like it. That's more like it. Now we're rocking and rolling. She's putting some stuff in there now. She's fighting now. Excellent.
The scary one is I want to be senior team leader by the 31st of December.
That's not scary. Who is it? That lady Joanne Brazina got to STL and GL in a year last year. Absolutely fantastic. And double promotion bonuses for those in the business that do it this year. So why not? Absolutely brilliant. Okay, I just want to say thank you guys very, very much for joining me on this little few days. It's been really good fun. We will make sure we find out about Barry and let everybody know as soon as we can what's going on there, and wish him very, very well. So you're all still on my email list about April the 4th, which I'll remind you about that. It did get a little bit confusing, and my fault, I know, with the bonuses and who had a one-to-one and who didn't have a one-to-one. So I have got a bit of a generous offer here for you all. Obviously, those in my team, one-to-ones go without saying. So, you know, that's that. I know sometimes it's still hard to pin down, so just keep nagging me. But for everybody else on here, I'm very happy to do a sort of one-to-one with you if you would like to book that in with me at some point. Marie, I owe you one anyway. Yeah, I know that. So just, because it might just be that we can talk a bit more specific about some of the strategies or some of the stuff that's going on through your head. So I'm very, very happy to do that. And I have got 2 places left at the moment for anyone who wants to work with me on a sort of longer term basis on anything. So if anyone's interested in that, send me an email, or you can have the one-to-one and I'll explain all about that in that session. All right, so it's all very exciting. Got some great stuff happening and loads of good stuff with UW this year, obviously happening, but lots of good stuff outside that as well. So it's just a good time. We can all do this together. Remember, we're all here. If anyone wants any quick help anytime, please do shout. I'm not quite sure what my next course is going to be yet this year. I've got a few things to get sorted first, but there will be something happening March, April, and you guys will be the first to know if it's something that you want to get involved with. All right, so there'll always be an early bird for those that have been on any of these courses before. So thank you very much. It's been absolutely awesome. You're all awesome. Please keep in touch, and please don't let this week be just one of those things that you attended and then forgot about. Please put it all into practice and make sure that you do make this your best year, because there's no reason at all why it shouldn't be.
Celia, are you keeping the Facebook page open?
I will, yeah, I'll keep it open because I know it'll get a bit dormant. It'd be good if you could all just keep interacting there a bit, otherwise Facebook will think it's died, but I will keep it open because then obviously when we come to April the 4th, it would be good. But definitely get those quarter goals in there, because then when we do April 4th, we can look back at it then, and obviously get your vision boards and all that done as well. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Celia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Before we go,
Yes.
that has been so helpful.
Good.
I've done a couple of goal setting courses, but they've not gone into that sort of depth. So when I said to you, I didn't know how to go about it, I literally knew what I wanted. I just wasn't sure how to break it down and get to it.
Yeah.
But tonight's been amazing. It's really helped.
Good.
So,
They promised me you'll put some of it into practice.
Oh, I've in the last year, I've grown so much, and this is just the next step.
Brilliant. Good. That's what I want to hear.
Thank you. It's been brilliant.
Oh, no, that's all right. It's a pleasure. Have a good evening, everyone, and I'll see you all soon. All right.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers, everyone. Thanks, Celia.
Bye, Ben.